I'm chilling with Matt here. He made this awesome, what do you call this, game?
Yeah, so it's a countertop arcade game. I found the case for like $5. It was clearly like one of those old video poker machines. And like sometimes you find something that sort of gives you ideas for building something cool, and this is one of those things. So I went and turned it into a game for this for CTF.
Awesome. So I mean, there's no question that like it's great that we start the crawl with your challenges because you really put the best foot forward. You want to talk a little bit about challenges you've done in the past too?
Oh yeah, sure. So I've been doing this for I think 6 years now, right?
This is our 6th year,
Yeah.
So if you've been in it since the beginning, then yes.
Yeah, so a lot of people build stuff that's just a Raspberry Pi that sits behind the bar somewhere and emits a web server.
Why you got to call me out like that?
Why'd you find that secret one?
We're using this take, huh? No, so like at some point somebody built one into a Darth Vader doll.
Vader, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, that's really
That was Mog, or not Mog, Sog a couple years ago.
And he built it. I was like, that's a really cool and clever idea. And I was like, well, what else could I do like that? So I started buying like Halloween decorations, and because you can use a Raspberry Pi to like drive motors and LEDs, I did because I wanted it to be like it's a physical object that's in this space, and when you trigger something, you solve a challenge, it reacts. It's part of the world. And so over years, I've just been building more and more stuff like that and incorporating the Raspberry Pi to drive I/O. Or this year, I actually had to use a couple Arduinos because what I wanted to have happen was I wanted to have the Raspberry Pi running regularly in one thread and the Arduinos to be able to do stuff separately on their own and not have to worry about, I'm managing threads here on the Raspberry Pi. So like, there's a badge reader in this one. The LEDs are driven by a different Arduino. There's a lot of hardware that's all talking back and forth over like serial to the main Raspberry Pi in this one.
So you have the Arduinos reporting back to the Raspberry Pi essentially, because the Pi is what's doing all of the main control, I assume.
That's right. So it's running Pygame, which is like a nice framework for simple Python-based game making. And every once in a while, when it needs to do something to the extra hardware, it'll talk over serial and it'll send a byte. It'll be like, okay, so this is the byte that says turn on the buttons for this challenge so that players know the 3 buttons you can actually press in this challenge are these ones that are lighting up right now. Or maybe there's a sensor. Maybe there's something else going on because I don't know if we're going to use this again. I don't want to give too much away. But I want it to be able to tell the hardware portions, you need to be ready for me to get some input or provide some output.
Right, and you've got like an actual NFC card reader on the front of the box.
Yep.
You're handing out NFC cards to people that they then have to program in certain ways to continue on with the challenge, as far as I've been able to tell from watching people do it.
100%. Yep. So NFC has always been like one of those, I don't want to call it like a passion topic of mine, but it's a fun one. And I've certainly made a couple challenges that require to mess with NFC data, specifically on writable tags. So this year is no exception.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, NFC is one of those things that's used in a lot of like security control systems, and I think they just assume people aren't going to understand that you can rewrite some of these cards. Now, I don't want to get too deep into the topic, but I guess there is such thing as a secure card, right?
You can prevent NFC tags from being written. There are certain bytes you can set, but when they get shipped by default, like a lot of places will just sell them rewritable, right? So there's always the possibility that somebody who's setting up a system that requires NFC for some sort of authentication forgets or doesn't know.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, they're all like unique. This one's a 1, this one's a 2. Great. 1 is admin, 2 is sub-admin, 3 is everybody else. Without realizing that, hey, if I just go and tap my phone and change a value, I become admin, right?
Change that 1 to a 2. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty awesome. Well, anything else you want to say about your challenge before we wrap up?
I hope people are having fun. Like this is another one of those labors of love that like many nights of coding and several days before this just getting it working. And like I'm not like saying I'm some sort of like genius here. Like I was debugging code for the first hour, and now it's working mostly. And now they're looking at me like maybe there's another bug. So I may have to get back to that in a second. Oh crap.
Well, being the guy that's running the scoreboard, and we had a redirect problem first thing when people started to log in, I understand your pain.
Sure. That happens. You know what? You do your best, and then everybody else finds the bugs.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt. And I assume you're going to be hanging out here most of the day just to let people try out your challenge. Yeah, but I hope you enjoy it here.
You see everything that I've built here. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, thank you.
All right, take care, man.